The shadows in our lives are gathering ever closer around us, but united together we can face the darkness. Nossa ventus cortis, we adventure forth. The time has come to go, hunting the shadow. Good evening out there, ladies and gentlemen. This is your humble host, Dennis Carroll, and this is episode 40 of Hunting the Shadows. I want to welcome you all in here tonight. Let's gather at the grotto for some good conversation. We hope to have an interesting hour ahead for you tonight. We're going to go get your hunting gear on, okay? Get ready to board the strange train. We're going to look for and search and hunt for the shadow people, okay? This is one of my favorite topics. Of course, I have a long list of favorite topics, and this is one of them, definitely. And I think you'll find it interesting for the next hour or so. Want to welcome everybody into the chat here. Hello, Girl Nergong, Sweet Me. Want to welcome you both to the new membership. We have membership open now. Yes, you too can become a shadow hunter. Okay, you hit the membership button and join up. And I'm going to say this to my members out there. Please private message me your address, your mailing addresses, okay? Because when you join and you become a member, you get a package, okay? So please send those on to me when you get a chance, and I would appreciate that. Hello, JoJo. Hello, Crystal. And Midwest, Philip Cleveland is in here tonight. Mary, and I did mention the girl in her gong, and Sweet Pea, and JoJo, and Donna Spencer. Hello, Donna. And of course, we've got Aussie Sue here, Kyle Smith. Hello, my brother Kyle Smith. Good to have you here, as always. And little Kilroy is in here tonight. Good to have you here, bud. And Lady Raven Moon. I like that name. It's got some interesting stuff to that. Lady Raven Moon. I like that. Okay, and we got the lovely Shiro. Hello, Shiro. And we have got some more gathering here tonight. We're going to have a very interesting hour ahead of us. This is a fascinating subject. The shadow people. Who are they? What are they? And we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be talking about Walking Sam tonight, okay? Nobody else seemed to want to talk about Walking Sam, so I'm going to talk about him. And this is going to be a very dark subject, okay? And we definitely, whenever you discuss, thank you, Philip, for becoming a member. Thank you, sir. Welcome aboard, and appreciate that. And join the ranks, okay? You are now officially a shadow hunter, okay? All right. And anyway, we're going to be talking about that. And we're going to be talking about suicide tonight, okay? A little bit about that. We will have the suicide hotline number up. This is a dark subject, but it needs to be addressed to a certain extent, especially as it pertains to the paranormal and the supernatural. We're going to be talking about some of that tonight. Hello, Juno. And so we're going to get into that, okay? So be ready for that. I also want to talk about Friday's show, and that will be this Friday, Paranormal Point of View, 9 o'clock p.m. All my shows are now 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? And want to talk about that. We are going to have open discussion night, okay? So bring your questions, observations, stories, whatever you want to tell. We're going to be one-on-one Friday night, okay? You ask me anything you want to ask me. I don't care what it is. Just ask away. Now's your time to ask. You don't learn if you don't ask, okay, folks? So now's your time to make observations, ask questions, talk about what you want to talk about, okay? So it's going to be open discussion night on Paranormal Point of View this Friday. And next week at this time, I will be holding my special 2-hour seminar at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Hunting the Shadows YouTube podcast channel. I will be having my 2-hour special seminar on the Nephilim, the rise of the fallen. You do not want to miss this, folks, because this is talking about your future coming up and how the Nephilim and the fallen, especially, play a role in that. That's what's coming up, and so you don't want to miss that. This is going to be a special 2-hour seminar. Okay, I told somebody the other day, if I really wanted to say what I wanted to say on this podcast, you'd probably never ever see me again. They would probably make me disappear. Okay, so there are certain subjects that you have to handle very delicately, very delicately. I have learned that the hard way, and there are certain forces out there that are watching and listening to everything you say. Okay, don't think that without a doubt. Not just me; that includes you as well. All of you out there listening, whatever you do or say, you're being watched. Okay, absolutely, don't forget that. And anyway, the point is that the night subject suicide, some of them having to do with suicide, and we're going to get into that later on, not right now, but we're going to get into that later on, is a very touchy subject, so we have to be very careful how we handle that, okay? I just want to warn you about that. But anyway, we have all, at one time or another, in some way or another, unfortunately, neither know someone or our families have been affected by that. So we will be talking about that and later on a little bit as pertaining to Walking Sam. It's very dark stuff. Hello, Red Pill Preacher. The Nephilim says he's looking forward to the Nephilim subject is definitely my will. And Red Pill Preacher, we're going to get together very soon. I'm going to have you as a guest on here, and we're going to talk about satanic cults. That's going to be another dark subject, and we're going to get together very soon and set that up, okay? This is Paranormal Wednesday, watching the show and having Ghostbusters playing in the background. There you go. The Ghostbusters, who you going to call, right? No, there's been a lot of times I wish I could have had them as backup, But anyway, Kimberly Chips on Curtis, far beyond paranoia is real. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to get into some of that in a little bit, but also I want to talk about some of our merchandise. Okay, it is becoming rather popular stuff. Okay, I want to show you the 7 Archangels medallion. If I can get it up here for the camera, this is the 7 Archangels medallion. I'm gonna get that close up so you can see it, but it's got a reflection on it a little bit. I got too many lights in the room here, but anyway, that's what it looks like. Of course, and then also we that's the necklace. Okay, we are also going to be having the keychains. Okay, that's the keychain. Got a nice split ring on it. That's the keychain for it. Okay, those are also available. The necklaces are $9.95 plus $2 shipping, and the keychains are the same thing, $9.95 plus $2 shipping, whichever one you want. Also, very soon we'll be offering some pins that you can wear. Now they're going to be $5. Okay, the pins that you can wear. You'll like those. Those are nice. So we're going to be offering those. So if you want me right now, you can send me your. That's at DennisWCarroll@gmail.com. You see it down there in the ticker. You send me your order through that, and along with your address, and we'll set that up. Okay. All right. I like the medallion. Matter of fact, on the back of my medallion, I had put the Omnia Exuit in Mysterium on the back of mine. I enjoy mine. I took it off so you could see it. I usually wear it. Okay. Very protective amulet. The seven archangels. Very protective. Good to have on, especially the ones we're going to be sending out will be blessed. Okay. They will have a blessing set over all of them. And so you know that they've got a little something extra with them. Okay. So just let me know if you decide you want to order any of those. Okay. That will help support the channel and our overhead costs and everything. I would really appreciate that. And I do appreciate all the members and all the stickers people have been giving me and all that. I absolutely want to tell you from the bottom of my heart how much I really appreciate that. You're going a long way in helping in the support and getting a lot of this stuff out there, and it needs to be out there. Okay, it definitely does. Hello, Scott's Life. Good to have you here. And I was gonna read a. Someone sent me this. I was gonna read it right quick. This is a little incident since we're fixing to launch into the shadow people here, and I've got some pictures. I got some photos to show you, and we're definitely gonna get in that. So I'm gonna drop out of the. While I show those pictures, I'm gonna drop out of the comments there for a while. There, Scott's Life, a new member. Welcome aboard, sir. Appreciate that, absolutely. And like I said, don't forget to send me your, private message me your address. You're going to get a little package, and I'm hoping that set up very soon some very special videos for the members only. Okay, definitely, we're going to get deep into that. Some stuff that's not going to be public. Okay, so you'll get special privilege on that. And anyway, I'm gonna read this right quick here. Someone sent me about a sighting, and this is I'm gonna read it to you right quick. It's not long. I have seen a shadow person on a college campus that used to be a housing project area. Upon investigation, I found out a guy was killed over some drugs in that area. The last time I saw him was when I was sitting in a bus stop booth. While looking at the ground, someone hit the booth. I turned to see a monkey's handprint with steam coming from it. That sounds very demonic to me, okay? Absolutely. No one was there that I could see. I looked higher up on the glass to see a white ghost head looking across the street. The ghost head I have seen plenty of times who showed me other paranormal entities. I looked across the street, following its gaze, to see that shadow man with dreadlocks running towards the tree, waving his hands, and disappear. Then the ghost head disappeared. I do not know what this means, but nothing I saw that night frightened me. It was all just surprised me at what comes out at night. And there are some things definitely that come out at night. And there are some absolutely some things that do go bump in the night, my friends. That's not just a saying. Absolutely, but that is an interesting sighting there. Sounds rather demonic, especially with the monkey's handprint kind of a thing. Now, I want to say this: there are certain demons, and we're going to be talking about that tonight, who can appear as apes. They do. There is a very famous story that was written. Now, this was just a story about a preacher who was haunted by a demon that looked like a demonical ape, and no one else could see it but him. And we're going to be talking about something very similar to that with Walking Sam here in a little while. But first, I want to get up. I want to run you through some of the different types of shadow people. Okay, now I have heard about these for years and years. I've seen shadow people my own self. I know how these things can manifest and how they do things and stuff. You're gonna stick with me tonight. My buttons are doing some. That's the hair power line. We'll get to that in a little while. Okay. That's a little example of some shadow people there. That's more or less a drawing of how they can sometimes appear in certain areas. Now, let's get into the different types of shadow people here, okay? Now, this one is self-explanatory. It's the shadow demon. He and I have met before. I have actually been attacked by this guy, okay, on more than one occasion. This guy's bad news. He is very demonic, and he appears as a shadow and looks very much like this, except the eyes are red and not white. Um, I have never seen one, I don't think, without white eyes. There are some shadow people that appear that way, but that is a shadow demon, okay? And he is one of the bad guys. You do not definitely ever want to run into this guy, okay? Absolutely not. Bad news, okay? All right. Now, I was attacked once. I think I have told some of you about this before, but I'm not going to get into the long story on it. But I was attacked by this shadow demon who was probably in the neighborhood of around 8 feet tall at the time. I was very close to him. He appeared on a wall or against the wall, actually, not on the wall, but he was in his. He was the darkness, darker than the darkness around him. And I even had a witness to this. Okay, there was another guy there. He was almost as close to him as I was, but this thing attacked me physically. It attacked him emotionally, and psychologically, it attacked him mentally. In other words, but it attacked me physically. And the physical attributes of this attack were a numbing coldness, and it was sort of a vibration like, and it went up. It started at my legs, went on up. It got up to my chest, and when it got to my chest, I began to get harder to breathe for me. It was almost as if it were constricting my heart to a certain extent. Some people would think this was a heart attack. But no, it wasn't. It was something different than that, I think, from what people have described me. I think the Lord never had a heart attack, as far as I know. But some people who have told me about that have told me the symptoms of this was kind of unlike that. This was a numbing coldness. I have never experienced anything like it. I immediately rebuked this thing, and I rebuked it by never. I didn't even speak a word, just the thought of my mind come into my mind. Greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. And that rebuked this thing and got it off of me. And I threw some light on it, and it slowly began to dissipate away. It was a very interesting encounter. Up until that time, you've always had to verbally rebuke these things. And that was the first time I ever done it. It was just the thoughts of my mind. I don't, and so people have asked me, do you think it was reading your mind? No, I do not think the demonic can read your mind. I think they can read you, just like your actions and maybe suppose they're very incredibly intelligent. And I believe they can kind of sense it, very sensitive to how you, but I don't believe they can actually read your mind. I think what happened to that thought in my mind activated faith. And they didn't like that. These are folks or things are enemies of faith, okay? That's the way you gotta look at it. Donna Spencer says our mother would set us up with cookies, M&M's, and ice cream for watch scary movies. I think she was prepping us for the future in her own way. Yeah. Hey, I was raised on horror movies myself. I raised my own self on horror movies. My mother and father didn't like that, but that was me, okay? I remember my second and third grade teachers getting on to me for staying up at night watching horror movies. That's me. But anyway, next up, okay, hold on. Next up, we've got this guy here. This is where the demonic many times will manifest. Take a look at that. That's a shadow, but it is kind of rounded. It has depth to it. That's the way that the shadow demon also appear. You can tell there's something there. It's not just a shadow on the wall, okay? It is not that. It is a thing there, okay? It is actually in your physical realm. You got to say that. It is that. Take a look at that. This is supposed to be a real picture too, supposedly, of one. I can't vouch for that. I wasn't there, but I have seen this with my own eyes on many occasions. And this is the way that the demonic will manifest, okay? And I think they do it. I think there's two reasons behind that, okay? One is that maybe the way they're transmogrifying, that's a long word. They're transporting themselves through time and space from perhaps portals, entering what I call that fifth dimension, the spiritual dimension, and into our physical world. They may take that form, but also they may be taking that form to scare you. They love to do that. They want to scare you and create that negative emotion thing going on, okay? Don't ever forget that. And they do many things to do that. They want to scare the bejeebers out of you folks because they not just because that they love that and it makes them happy, but it creates negativity in you. Fear creates negativity. Fear is the what? Enemy of faith. And so if they can get you fearful, they got you right where they want you, you see. The Cryptid Huntress, good to have you aboard here, says they are very creepy. Oh, yes, they're very creepy. It gives you a weird feeling when you see one. Definitely. Absolutely. But that is one way that they will manifest, okay, sometimes. Now, sometimes you will have what I call the two-dimensional shadow people. It looks like a shadow on the wall. Now, these are, as it says, are associated with hauntings. They can be like a ghost, like the shadow of a ghost, you might say. They can be sometimes connected to trauma or some type of a murder. I have actually heard of murder scenes where the victim's shadows are still there, like this. Okay, those can be connected to human hauntings, to per se, but they're always kind of 2D. They're just like a regular shadow on the wall, but there's nothing there making that shadow. Okay, now let me show you this. According to folklore and a lot of other stuff, ancient stories and all that, any kind of a supernatural creature that in the supernatural stage does not have a reflection or a shadow. That's where you get vampires not having a reflection in the mirror. Okay. That's one of them. Ghosts are not supposed to have reflections, although they can appear in mirrors. And you remember when Gerald and I were doing the show the other night on Lizzie Borden, we talked about the Valencia murder house, the Valencia murder house. The murderer in that house actually covered all the windows and he covered the mirrors. And a lot of people could not understand why, and that set a bell off in my head. I know I cover the mirrors because there's an old superstition that spirits of the dead can get trapped in a mirror. Okay, that goes way back, and people used to, when you died in the house or whatever, before they took you out, they would cover all the mirrors because they didn't want your spirit remaining behind. And the Valencia murderer evidently knew about this superstition. That's why he covered the mirrors. That's an interesting attribute there. That's something you can get from it all these years later. Now, this here represents a shadow like interdimensional being. Now, some of these things may be interdimensional, moving from one dimension to another. They may be what I like to call them walkthroughs. Okay, what you see here is a good representation of one that's not come all the way through, okay, and formed completely. But that's very interesting. The concept show that how that shows that way. Okay, now this is a worst one of all, the Hat Man. This shadow being is very, very malevolent and very evil. Okay, this guy is downright demonic in my book. I don't care which way you look at it. I believe he is a demon. He may be higher up on the ladder. He may actually be a prince of hell. We've seen some evidence that this may be connected to a certain demon. I'm not going to call his name tonight, who is supposed to be a prince of hell, and he is supposed to have a thing about hats. Okay, And that might be a good clue to who this guy really is. This is one guy you do not definitely want to meet in your house, the Hat Man. Okay. And one more I got right here for you. This is a type of shadow being associated with sleep paralysis and spiritual attacks. And we're going to talk about this for a few minutes. Now, what you see here, it's not manifested all the way in, but a lot of people describe this thing as being ribbons, like a human shaped ribbon thing that covers you and gets over you in your bed, paralyzes you, and begins to draw the breath out of you, the life essence out of you, supposedly. This is a bad news guy here. This is a basically a spiritual attack on you, okay? And that's the way you got to look at it. That's the way you got to handle it, because this is a spiritual entity that's doing this to you, okay? And that is the way that guy rolls. And I have had many people, of course, it's got other names. It's called sleep paralysis. Now, there are actual medical conditions of sleep paralysis. But what we're talking about here is an attack of the old attack of the hag, the night hag attack. And some people actually see this thing. Now, we're not just talking about laying there and being paralyzed, not being able to move. That is sort of sleep paralysis. What we're talking about is an entity in the room with you actually attacking you and paralyzing you and feeding off of you in a way. But this is basically a spiritual attack, okay? That's the way you got to look at it, because that's the way that goes. That is a spiritual attack. And here's another right here. Yeah, that's the shadow demon I told you about earlier. Okay. Here's one. Oh, the buttons are doing weird tonight. Okay. Now, this is, of course, a rendition of shadow people, more than one. And there have been many reports of people seeing more than one at occasion. And this was very much like a scene that happened with me in a cemetery. I won't go into the long story on it tonight, but there was more than one shadow person, and many were seen behind me by somebody who was with me, and said there's like a dozen of them back there. This was very demonic, a very demonic attack at that time. I'll save that story for another time, but it was very interesting. Now, what I hear, one more thing to show you here, and I want to explain this to you. This is an actual photograph. I don't know how good this is going to show up, but this is an actual photograph, supposedly, of a shadow person. And if you got to look very close because the room was dark, you can see the outline of this shadow person if you look very close, okay? And it is a fascinating picture, but this is very much the way they will appear in your vicinity, especially in a dark room, very dark room. Now, the shadow demon that attacked me, I could see him better than that. I could see the red eyes and everything, because the room I was in had a lot of ambient light. There was like a street light from outside. It was not completely dark like this, but this is what you would probably see if you woke up one night and there was a shadow person in your room. This is what you're going to see in the room with you. And of course, as you know, that would have to be a very unsettling attack on you. That would be a very unsettling thing to see. Absolutely. I could see why I would. It would be very frightening for some people. But now, I have actually been attacked in many ways. I'm not going to get into that tonight, but I have actually had physical fights with the demonic. I won't get into that tonight. That's a story for another time. And people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that, but I fought this thing on a staircase. It was trying to kill me. Okay. I actually physically fought this thing. I could feel it, just like I could feel you if I were putting my hands on you. I could feel this thing. Okay. But I'm not going to get into that. But I just want to say that because these things can manifest into solid things. We're not talking about just dark emptiness to say. These things can be solid and just as real as you and I, but they don't look like us. That darkness that you see in photographs and renditions of this and the pictures like I showed you there is a darkness darker than any you have ever seen. It is an unnatural, otherworldly kind of darkness, other than what you see in a dark room at night. When you wake up to get up midnight to go get you some water or drink some water or whatever, go to the bathroom, you pretty well know your way around the house and you can see the things there. But if one night you were to encounter something like this, you need to know what to do. You need to know what to do because this is probably a spiritual attack on you. Now, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, when you encounter these type of things, they are usually either just out the corner of your eye, or they're moving along a wall, or passing or walking through. But sometimes they are there for worse reasons than that. They are there to spiritually attack you. Okay, you got to remember that very plain. It is very prevalent. It more so now than it has ever been before. I'd like to be glad not to wake up if there was none and be none the wiser. Yeah, Cryptid Hunter says I live in a very haunted area. Well, hey, the Cryptid Hunters, the more the paranormal. Let me tell you this, okay? The more paranormal you got around, it seems like the more shadow people are attracted to these things. It almost is like a magnet that pulls them in. Yeah, it's darker than the darkness. This is darkness that seems to have no bottom to it. It is. It's like it goes on forever. It is it's hard to explain. Even as a writer, I've struggled to find words to try to get you to understand what you're looking at is not normal darkness. It's not just a shadow like you would cast tonight on the wall. No, no, no. Although there are some like that, like I said in my other earlier illustration, this is something altogether different. And when they attack you, they can very physically hurt you. I mean, they can kill you. They could drain all the energy out of you if they wanted to, although this is rare most of the time. But I have to wonder about some people who are found dead with no apparent cause or reason to it. I'm not talking about murder, and I'm not talking about a heart attack or something else. I mean, there are a lot of people, and it is a conundrum in medical circles. A lot of people are found dying from unknown causes or reasons. I wonder sometimes just maybe some of the shadow people might not be responsible for some of that. The girl in her gong says, I can feel the presence when they appear. Absolutely, you can feel it. There is sort of a vibration in the air. You have an unsettled feeling in your body. And I'm not saying fear. It's just like something's not right. You know what I'm saying? You really feel this. If you're a very spiritual person, very sensitive, if you have psychic gifts, whatever the situation is, you're going to pick up on this, okay? If you don't pick up on it, I don't know what the problem is, because you're going to pick up on it, because I have. And I'm not, overly sensitive person, but I've picked up on it. I have felt it. Okay. You can be in certain places under certain circumstances where you'll run into these guys. You'll know it. You will feel it. And you need to pay attention to that. Donna Spencer says, Dennis, if a person had a generational curse on them, would they see a lot of these dark entities? Well, let me say this. The closer you get to the veil, the thinner it becomes, especially in the shadows, okay? The closer to the shadows you get, the thinner the veil becomes. And you need to understand that. And sometimes, if you're seeing a lot of shadow people just out of the corner of the eye, there's something going on, okay? It's either where you're living or it could be some type of a curse, okay? Usually, though, you don't have a lot of shadow people with a generational curse. But if you got a very bad generational curse, which has been generated by demonic forces, you're going to probably run into shadow people, okay? But I don't think you run into it more than others, but there may be a little more prevalence to it. You may see things more out of the corner of the eye than right in the face, kind of a thing. You see what I'm saying? And you will feel this thing, and like the girl in her gong says, you get this feeling, they're there, and most of the time, it's not a good feeling, okay? You're not going to feel happy about this, It's not going to give you a good, warm, fuzzy feeling here, folks. Okay, this is bad news. This is bad stuff that you're dealing with. So Joseph says this. Let's see. I have to back up a little bit. Yeah, Red Pill Picture says yes, it is Judge stronghold for witchcraft and then cult like voodoo and parents in that area. The highly sensitive is a blessing and not a blessing sometimes. Absolutely. A lot of times these things, being sensitive to these things, it comes with the territory. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, why am I like this? Why am I doing, why am I being tortured like this? I say, well, this is part of you. This is your makeup. Okay. And you got to learn to deal with it, and you can deal with it. You can learn to control it. You can learn to address it the way and correctly so that it won't hurt you and bother you. You can do it, but it takes work. Okay. It takes work and mind control. David Lister says we had a coquette set put away in its rack and stored in our basement. Many nights we will hear the wooden balls being hit and roll across the concrete floor, bounce off walls, stop me hit again. Demonic spirits love to play games like that. Okay, and that's just the way they work. They're out to kind of scare you, to kind of keep you nervous, worried, and all that. Like I say, we got to remember when it comes to the demonic, do not feed the beast. I can't say that enough. Don't give them any negativity to work with. That's just like giving them candy to a kid. They love that, and it makes them stronger. The more acknowledgement you give them, and the more negativity you give them, that's what they want. They feed off of that. Don't feed the beast. I didn't want to say this is the C word, man. That's the worst. Okay, yeah, the C word. And but generational curses. I bet a lot of people are scared of generational curses can be broken. I've told you how to do that. I have actually given you the prayers in which to do that. By an act of faith, you can break any kind of curse, hex, spell, whatever. Okay, you got to remember that you're not the victim here. You don't have to be a victim if you don't want to be. Okay. You can break these curses. What is it? Was in a parking lot of Food Line, saw a black human shaped like that paper person walking, correcting his path to rendezvous with my path. Sometimes you can run into these things and they will acknowledge you. Oh, yeah. They're not just walkthroughs, And the ones that really acknowledge you is the ones you got to really watch out for. They feed off of fear, too. Fear, negativity, same thing. Fear, hatred, rage, jealousy, all of the bad emotions that generate negativity is what they love. And acknowledgement. They want you to acknowledge them. Like I said, they're egomaniacs. They want you to acknowledge them, okay? Absolutely. That's the way they work. David Lister said as a kid, and if I was going down in the basement to take the balls from whatever it was, and no way. I don't blame you. Okay, Don Spencer says, thank you for the prayers for us on here. I have not seen a ghost in this house. I sleep better, thank you. Well, yeah, that's good, Donna. You have a protective hedge around you, okay? When you put that spiritual light hedge around you, that spiritual armor that you need put on, you ain't got nothing to worry about. And like I said, it bounce off of you like water off a duck's back, okay? But now we're going to talk a little bit about Walking Sam. Okay, this is going to be a little dark. I hate to tell you this, folks, but there are certain demons of suicide, without a doubt. And I think what people are dealing with when they talk about Walking Sam is a demonic spirit of suicide. Now, let me explain what Walking Sam is, okay? That's true, girl. I can put that up. The armor of God is what prevails, absolutely, 100%. Anyway, good evening, Ashley. Anyway, well, on the reservations, and I love the reservations because I get a lot of paranormal stuff off of them. I know several people on some reservations, and on the reservations, and a lot of these are the Sioux reservations, some of them are the Hope you're in some other Navajo, whatever the reservations are out in the Southwest, especially. You hear talk about an entity called Walking Sam. Now, Walking Sam is about 7 foot tall, very thin man who was always dressed in black. He's got a black hat on too, very much like the Hat Man. I wonder about that. But anyway, his description is if you look at him, he is like a shadow. Okay? He appears like a walking shadow. And he has no face or very indistinct facial features. Walking Sam can only be seen by people that he attaches to. And he attaches to people who commit suicide. And what they say he does, especially to young people now, as we all know, sadly, really, that there is an epidemic of suicide on the reservations, especially around among young people, young children, young teenagers. There's even been some suicide pacts where more than one or two get together and commit suicide. This is a sad fact, folks, and I'm not making light of this. This is very bad stuff. And I'm not saying all this is paranormal. I'm not saying that either. But there are some elements here we need to address. And the one thing about this is there's a epidemic of suicide in this country. That not only on the reservations, but especially about a lot of young people who have been bullied and stuff like that going on. And you have among service members, you have a lot of suicide in the military and in law enforcement. I know about that. I was in law enforcement myself. Law enforcement has a lot of suicides and it a lot of high pressure on people these days, folks. But some of this stuff may be instituted by the demonic because there are demonic spirits of suicide. And if I were going to tell you one, it would definitely be Walking Sam. Now, Walking Sam supposedly attaches to a person. Nobody else can see it, just that person. And he's following them. He follows them around all the time. And this is the way some demonic entities do. They attach to you. It's like a walking, living curse. They attach to you, and you can't hardly get rid of them unless you know what to do. They will whisper in your ear, "You're not worthless. You're just worthless. You're not worth living anymore. You shouldn't even been taking up other people's breath. You shouldn't be taking oxygen from people, real people that want to." It says horrible things to you. It tries to down your spirit. It tries to attack your spirit. It tries to get you in a negative mood to the point where you just don't want to live anymore. That's just the way this thing goes. If you listen to it, and some of these people unfortunately do, it will drive you to suicide. Now, demons are bullies and cowards. Usually, they never come right out and try to kill you. They do other things to get you to kill yourself. That's what they want to do. They love that. Death by suicide is their most favorite thing of all. Okay? I hate to tell you that, but it's true. It happens a lot. And these guys are out to do this because that is how they can get you to the point, the lowest spiritual point possible, isolate you, withdraw you from any help, and then have you kill yourself. And that's where that works because that's what their number one goal is: your destruction, spiritual and physical destruction. That's the way these things work. It's a spirit of suicide is evil at its highest. My first wife swallowed a bullet due to drug use, which is sorcery left me to raise 3 girls under 6. Yeah, that's the way these things do work, Red Pill. The demons of suicide are insidious things, and there are certain demons who specialize in suicide. Okay, that's the way they go. And whatever form they take, whether they look like Walking Sam, and by the way, some people said they have actually seen Walking Sam, and he'd be walking down the road, and they'll speed up and get past him, and 4 or 5 miles down the road, they pass him again. This is not a person. This is a demon. This is a spiritual entity. Okay, folks? I know on Jessica's show today, which was she had a great show with Vic Cundiff, and they were talking about dogmen and werewolves. Let me say this, okay? There's certain things you know. Okay, if I were to walk into a camp that has been attacked by a dogman, or I walk into another camp that has been attacked by a werewolf, I will know which is which. If I in the camp of the people attacked by the dogman, they will have probably their throats torn out and they will have a lot of wounds on them. They'll be tore up pretty bad. But in the camp of the werewolf that tells me it would be a werewolf, he would have them completely shredded into little pieces. Okay, I mean there would be body parts everywhere. That's the way a werewolf works. Okay, that's the way that ball bounces. So you know when something is working, how it works, how it operates. You know that's what you're probably looking at. So if I were to walk in on a situation between a dogman and a werewolf, I could tell you right off the bat which one it was without any other evidence by the way that they do their victims. This is the same way with demons of suicide. Okay, they work on you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So they get you to the lowest point possible they can get you so that you will do their job for them. There are very few rare cases of actual demonic murder. And when they do murder somebody, they turn the head completely around, looking back over his back. Okay, that's the way you'll find them. If I walked up on somebody like that, I would think right off the bat, hey, that's demonic murder, because that's the way they do it. They all have their modus operandi. Okay, they have their motives and the way they do things, their motives of operation. They know how to do this, and if you got a watching eye, you'll know what you're looking at here. Don Spencer says, I had a college teacher that kept saying negative things to the students to quit her class. However, someone had plans for me to push past what she said. You will run into people like that, okay? And let me say that. The reason I brought your comment up, demonics power works through people sometimes. It won't have to be a walking Sam sometimes. It can be other people that are under demonic control that they will use against you. Okay. Remember how I talked about sometimes that they're, with angelic beings walking all around us, sometimes people fill in for the angels. They do the work of the angels and don't know it. But sometimes people do the work of the demons and don't really realize that they are under demonic influence. If you run into someone like that, if somebody comes into your life like that, get away from them as quick as possible. That's my advice to you, okay? Kathleen Michael says, Carol's guide told the people who commit suicide also stay in the energy and commit the act over and over until it's time death will naturally occur. They can be rescued and sent to the light. Sometimes, Kathleen, I have seen evidence where even death does not free people from demonic possession. Sometimes, not every time, but sometimes that can happen. But anyway, I do want to let's see. I do want to put this up because if anyone listening tonight knows somebody or they feel like they've had tendency to do this, whatever, please, I emphatically tell you, request that you please seek help. Okay, all you got to do is call 988. That's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Or if you know somebody that is thinking about these things or feel like they're under the influence to do something like this, please do not hesitate to call 988, okay? Or text it. You can also text 988. But this, or if you know somebody that needs this, make sure they know what that number is, okay? It's 988. It's totally different than 911. It's 988. And it's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They'll have some help on that end, somebody to talk to them 24 hours, 7 days a week, okay? I just want to put that up for everybody out there that might do that, or they may be under the influence of some of these demonic suicide things, or just any kind of a problem that you have, whatever it may be. Please seek help. There is help out there. You are not alone. See, that's what the demonic wants to do. Okay, folks. They want to isolate you. The cults do that, okay? They want to isolate you, remove all help and family, relatives, and friends away from you. They want to isolate you, get you because they can get you more under their control and do what they want to do to you on their pathway of destruction for you. Okay, that's the way they work. It's possible a lot of spiritual curses can be transferred physically as werewolves or shapeshifters, much like the skinwalker of the Southwest. Yeah, you're looking at, and I'll get into this some other time, but there are echelons of witchcraft and satanic worship that can get you to turn into vampires. They can get you to turn into a werewolf. You can take the form of a great cat, like a big black cat. You can take the form of a panther. Whatever you want to do, it turns you from man to beast. That's the way they like that. The demonic likes that. But in order for you to get to these levels, you have to do horrific, terrible things. I mean, we're talking torture and murder here, folks. Blood sacrifices. You don't ever want to think about that. Some people, I could tell you tonight, and I've said this before, listen to me very closely. I know how to become a werewolf. I know how the skinwalkers do that. I could do it if I wanted to. I'm not going that route, okay? Because I want to keep my soul, okay? I want my soul unblemished. I serve somebody higher than that, okay? And I want to say this. I know how it can be done. I know, but that's just nothing you want to play with. It is nothing you want to mess around with, believe me. The girl in the said, I used to volunteer for the crisis. That's good. That is a wonderful thing to do because you are helping your fellow human being. Okay. Absolutely. And that's what, and I've said this before. Okay, folks, we're all in this together. We're all fellow travelers down this road. Okay. We're all in this together. Let's look out for each other. Okay. Absolutely. We got to. Who else is going to? You know what I'm saying? We got to look out for each other. Trust in a higher power to get us through. But we need to have other individuals' needs in mind as well. Okay, we shouldn't all be about us. That's us. There's other people in this world. Sharon said, I'm committed to rescuing abused children. My heart breaks for them. The light is stronger than the dark. Absolutely. And that is a good thing, Sharon. Somebody needs to. The children are very small. That's what really gets me, in all the many cases that I've had over the years. When it came down to children and animals, that really ramped it up for me. Okay, because these cowards want to pick on these, innocent children and animals. That really gets me. That's the one thing that makes me very angry at these things. And these things have felt my anger before. And it is a justifiable anger because of the low down, sorry, evil things that they do to these poor innocent people and animals and all that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And that's when it really is personal to me, Red Pill features the strength of evil is based upon the level of ritual conducted to become the beast. Oh, yeah. You've got to do certain rituals to do it. I'm not going to get into that. People do not need to know that. Okay. Put it that way. You do not need to know that. Absolutely. Trust me, you don't. Kathleen Mark says sad and too righteous anger. Yeah. Sorry, man. It's ain't righteous. It's a righteous anger. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, it just makes it just ramps it up to me when you do that with the kids and all that, especially, because they're so innocent and especially animals they can't take up for themselves too. They're just mad. And I have seen the demonic attack animals and children. It's not good. But like I said, I have had physical attacks where I have actually fought that thing. I mean, I fought it like you would in a wrestling ring or something. I mean, I wrestled this thing. And it was real. It was trying to kill me. Okay, that was all the thing about it. I'll talk about it one night. I'll tell you all about it. But anyway, it tried to kill me, and I had to fight. Finally, I got it off of me. But the only way I finally handled it was you have to rebuke it. You got to tell it, and you got to be authoritative. Say it, and you got to tell it. You got to say, "Hey, okay, evil spirit, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ, by the blood of Jesus Christ, by his authority, I cast you out of here. You got to get mean. You got to get mean with them. Okay. You can't just beg them or ask them. No, 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 no. You got to use and exercise the authority. You've been given that. God freely has given you authority over the demons and devils. You got to use it and believe it. Children tell their parents things that they do not believe them. However, they should. Kids are our future. People should listen to kids and animals. You can listen to animals. Same thing. You should. People, like I said, we should not get caught up in our everyday lives, and all we think about is us, us, us. What I'm gonna eat, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna. We need to slow down on that. We need to start thinking about other people and things around us. Okay, we need to observe more and understand and let things talk to us. We need to shut up sometimes and really open our spiritual ears and eyes to a lot of these things. And we need to do that on a regular basis. Absolutely. I listen to my animals every day and night when they snore. Yeah, some of them do that. Absolutely. A lot of people snore too. I've been told I growl in my sleep, but anyway. Listen to animals every day and night when they are snoring. It's no problem. But anyway, any questions about the shadow people? Now's your time to do it. Put them forth here. And I hope you have found this informative. And if you ever have a problem with them, definitely call me and let me know, or seek help if you can't take care of it yourself. You growl in your sleep. I think that's what I've been told. Yeah. I guess it's a beast in me. Okay, coming out. When they're snoring, you know they're still alive and out of trouble. Let me tell you a quick story, okay? When we're talking about animals, dogs, and stuff. I had this guy tell me the story one time of what happened to him, and I found it very interesting. He lived, just like Jessica was talking about, he lived in a very haunted place. He lived in a very, the place that he lived in was haunted. And it was, I think, it was like a mobile home, and there was like a barn there, and there was a couple of outbuildings, and I think someone committed suicide in the barn. Okay, and he said there was a lot of dark energy on this place, and there may have been rituals performed there. Who knows what might have went on before he got there, but he lived there, and he said the place belonged to his father. One of the real estate holdings his father had, and he was down on his luck or whatever in between jobs, and his father let him stay in this mobile home on this property that he had. It's sort of like a small farm. Anyway, he said there's some bad things that happened there, and he knew without doubt somebody hung themselves in that barn. So he said one night he had a little I think it's a French bulldog, and he said it wasn't feeling too good, and he brought it in the house, and he was laying on the floor next to the bed, the dog was, and said that so one time during the night, around 3 o'clock or 4 in the morning, he woke up all of a sudden. He said, "I don't know why, I just woke up," and he said, I raised up in bed and I looked, and he said he could see all the way down this mobile home, this trailer, he could see all the way down it. And he said he could see into the living room, and there was his dog sitting up on the sofa with his back to him. And he said, "Well, what in the world is my dog doing down there? He wasn't, he was in here with me." And he's looking. He said, all of a sudden, slowly, the dog turns around and looks at him. And he said it was the most horrible looking thing. He said it didn't look like a dog. It was a horrible looking thing looking at him. And he said, "What is that?" And he heard something. He looked down, and his dog was laying on the floor next to him. And he looked back up, and whatever it was in the living room was gone. Now that is how the demonic will attack you sometimes. Thank you, Kathleen, for that super sticker there. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And that was an interesting case to me. That thing appeared as his dog, That was freaky. And I asked him. He said that freaked him out. He said that really freaked him out. He said I got up. He said I didn't sleep anymore that night. He said I got up, made coffee. He said the dog was feeling better. By the way, thank goodness the dog was okay. But he said that thing appeared like that. That really scared him. But I told him that's what the demonic wants to do. They want to scare you. They want to create that fear. But anyway, animals see and hear things we don't. My daughter's dog hears stuff at the time. She is up at 2 a.m. barking or something. And all, if your dog hears something, you need to pay attention to that. And if it's okay, if it's a dog out in the yard or a cat that it's barking at or something, that's okay. But you need to know, you need to understand that that dog has something has activated that dog. He knows something's going on. Dogs are very hyper, super sensitive animals. That's why I love dogs too. Cats are the same way too. They're super sensitive animals. Okay, I pay attention to them when they talk to me. Usually, when people astral travel, as is their likeness, it appears to you, but that person is very vulnerable at that point. That's how Anton LaVey died. His silver cord was cut by praying people. Well, silver pill, red pill preacher, that is a very dangerous thing. Astral projection can be very, very dangerous because you're leaving your body just wide open, like you'd leave the doors in your house open one night, and that's not a good thing to do either. You especially don't want to do that with your body and your spirit. My German Shepherd has a sixth sense, Sharon Lane said. Absolutely, dogs have a sixth sense. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I have seen that in action many times. And, but what gets me, people do not pay attention. That's just ridiculous. People need to pull the bootstraps up there and do better than that. I saw a two-headed dragon in my living room. It appeared from a nick bag. Girl Gong, thank you, dear, for that 499 sticker. I appreciate that, really do. I saw a two-headed dragon in my living room. It appeared from a neck back on an ex-boyfriend left. And I knew that doll. I threw that doll away. The dragon went with it. Well, that was just a representation of the demonic influence that probably was over there. We got to be very, very careful with items that we bring into our lives, okay? Because those items can be very demonically influenced if we're not careful, okay? It was in a mobile home, huh? Okay. Uh, I have investigated in several instances with people that were living in mobile homes. They can be just as haunted as a two-story house, maybe more so. You don't have a whole lot of room in some of them. But I'm going to tell you something interesting about spirits. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I probably have, but I'm an old man. I get to repeat myself. Okay. Um, they tend to hide when they hide from you, and they will hide. They'll get away from you. They'll either go up or they go down, and that'd be in the basement or in the attic. I have even known them to get in the crawl spaces under houses where there was no basement. So these things hide. They're very good at hiding and getting out of the way. That's why the paranormal is so darn hard to predict. Most of the time, these stuff are actively hiding from you. Okay, that's the way that rolls. But anyway, you got to understand when you start seeing things out of the corner of the eye, you see movements or even shadows, whatever the situation is, you're probably picking up on something paranormal when that happens. And you got to understand and maybe how to deal with it or whatever. And if you feel like it's dark, negative stuff, you definitely don't want to live with that. You want to address that thing immediately. But like I say, if you ever have any problems with that, contact me. I will tell you how to break curses. If you feel that you are living under a generational curse, good news for you. You can break it anytime you want. Okay? These things are not forever. Even if they are generational, they can be broken. Okay? So don't feel like that's something that you can't take care of, because it is. And I can show you how to do it. So please don't labor under that. If you feel like you've got that problem, you need to address it. Do you still have visitation from the white ghost cat? Yeah, he's still out there. He's hanging around. Yeah. I've got him. I've tamed him a little bit more. He used to be kind of combative. He's a little bit more tamer now. But he's out there on the porch somewhere. And I've got another cat to come up. I call it since I named him Ghost. This other cat hanging around. He's a little bit younger. He's yellow. I call him Goldie. So you got Ghost and Goldie out there. They don't get along too well. They're jealous of each other. I don't know where all these cats come from. I don't know. Sharon Lane says, I've seen things in my peripheral vision all my life. I don't tell people because they'll think you're crazy. Well, yeah, that tag is there. There's always, we talked about that the other night. I think Gerald and I talked about that some, about how people still that label paranormal stuff is crazy and crackpots and all that stuff. But that's just the way I've been called worse. Okay. But anyway, that's just the way these people roll. So don't let them bother you. It's just ours was super active in the basement. Yeah, that's the way they like to get away from people and go either up or down. That depends. But in spiritually cleaning areas, I've had to go and throw salt in the. I've had to go through salt in the crawl space in the house. You got to get everywhere to cleanse it because, like I say, they'll get away from you and hide. So you got to open every door, every closet, every cupboard, every bathroom, every door, every window if you can, and push these things out. That's the way that works. How the mobile home was new, we saw shadows moving through it. It was told that the man who owned the land would move on it. Well, you don't know what could have been done on that land before that. It might have been not the mobile home, but where it's sitting. I told you that what about happened that time with that lady that owned a ranch, and she contacted me. They saw something kind of like a dog man on their property, and we come to find out that the Indian burial ground there had been desecrated by a storm or some other people, I think, too. And they had brought some stuff up. I won't go into the story tonight. That'd be something for another show. But anyway, she had some bad stuff going in. It wasn't her house. It was what was nearby that affected it. So the paranormal can be like dropping a pebble in a pond. You see the ripples go out. So if there's an area in your neighborhood that's got a lot of bad juju, you get the ripple effect from it. Okay, you got to remember that. See, I've also, on psychic unit, I knew some of my patients were psychic and not schizophrenic, but modern medicine wouldn't acknowledge it. Absolutely not. Modern medicine and science overlooks completely the spiritual aspects, and that's a sad thing. It really is. Yeah. Okay. All right, David. Have a good. Oh, got to get up at 3 a.m. Okay, bud. Take care out there. Land can hold spirit energy like nothing else. The Bible says also the blood cried out from the ground. Yep. Yeah, land can be contaminated and can sometimes have a dark stain. It's incredibly hard to cleanse it, but it can be cleansed. It's still God's good earth, okay? Even we have to take it back from the darkness. Uh, Ace Banner, I like that name, Ace Banner. Okay. That I think is going to cover it for shadow people tonight. I hope if you got any more questions or any observations you want to make, we're here for the haul now. But it is a very interesting subject, and I've told this to people before. Until you actually experience it, you'll never truly understand it. But once you experience, you'll know what other people felt. You'll know what more about it because it is an interesting experience. It can be a frightening experience for some people. It can be an eye-opening experience for others. That's just the way the paranormal is. But it can be an interesting experience, nevertheless. I could use some stories about that also. Yeah. Living on Civil War battlefields, that was a challenge. Oh, I'm sure it was. Anywhere where there's dark trauma, pain, death has taken place. Like I said, I've investigated a lot of murder sites. The land itself is stained by that. It's almost like the memory of it remains behind. And I think sometimes in a lot of hauntings we are dealing with the ghost of memories. Absolutely. And I've had people ask me that. I mean, how do you believe in ghosts, Dennis? Have you run into a lot of ghosts? I said, well, I have definitely run into the ghosts of memories in a lot of these places. I think they still remain. All right, thank you, Donna. I'm glad to have you here, and I want to thank everybody that gave the stickers tonight. Absolutely. I appreciate that so very much. I really do. And for our members, like I say, you want to be a shadow hunter, now's the time to join up. Join the Shadow Hunters and become a member today. We'll be glad to have you. Yeah, like and share and subscribe, Crystal says. Thank you, Crystal. And thank you for reminding me of that. Absolutely. We want some script. We're at show number 40, and we're at 751 subscribers. So let's keep going, folks. We're pushing for 1,000. Okay, we can do it. We can make it. Absolutely. Tell your friends about the show. Say, hey, I know a great podcast you need to watch, and check us out. Okay, I would really appreciate that. And like I say, if you're looking for a nice necklace to wear or a good keychain, you'll be helping us out that way. Absolutely. And my email again is denniswcurl@gmail.com, or on Facebook. You can message me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on a lot of them out there. Okay, just about everyone. I'm somewhere. I'm on there. Okay, but absolutely, if you want to order a necklace, anything else, or if a book, I'm gonna be setting up to get to sell some of my books, autographed books. The necklaces will definitely be blessed. The so will the keychains and the pins. I'm getting those in, and we've got some other special stuff. And if you buy a necklace and stuff, you just might get some stickers. Okay, yeah, we got a lot of stickers out here, folks. Oh yeah, and we really appreciate all that you're doing to help the podcast keep going. Absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, I really do thank you. And God bless you all. I hope that is my hope for you. And I hope you all have a fantastic week, what's left of it, going into that. And I will see you Friday night at 9 o'clock p.m. on Paranormal Point of View. Open discussion night, okay? So bring your questions and your answers. Bring all your observations and your stories. I'll be telling some stories. So come on aboard and get on the strange train with us Friday night, okay? I hope to see you here then. That'll be 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Hunting the Shadows YouTube channel on YouTube. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I appreciate you all being here tonight. And until we get together again, remember what I always say: Omnia exuit in mysterium. All things end in mystery. Embrace the mystery. And until we meet together again, friends, via con Dios.